Hello there. Today, I'm just gonna jump into the story. I was watching and this isn't a story. I guess I'm jumping into a different story while talking about jumping into the story. I was watching a Influence Summit by Brendan Burchard recently, and they all talked about like when someone's presenting in terms of like really anything, and this can be and this is well known in certain fields and areas. But like when you're starting a book or yada yada yada, giving a presentation, um, jumping off into a story is one of the best ways to do it because it grabs the viewer's attention just like that. And so that it's good information for you to know. So my story, and maybe next time I'll just jump into the story instead of telling you that I'm going to jump into a story. Um, will be three things, and I'm still talking about what I'm doing because I'm still figuring out the process of these sharings because I not only want to have teachings within this fuel, but I also want to have um, sharings of my journey, of course. And so I realized like 3 months into Hawaii that there's just been so much experience that I haven't documented. So at least for a little bit, I'll probably be sharing all of the really cool stuff that I've done. And one of them, the most amazing thing that I've done is surfing. Previously, before I got into surfing, which was, it was just a lesson. It was a private lesson. It was me and my buddy Nayade. He's almost 12 now, and we were just gonna, do a lesson, check out surfing. And as soon as I was on the water, it just like felt so right. And within one lesson, I was able to like catch waves on my own. And I'm just like naturally able to catch waves, and it is like a whole other world. And I know all the surfers listening will know what I'm talking about. But my preconceived notion of surfing and learning how to surf was that it would take months, that it would take a really long time to be able to catch waves and like ride them for like 50 yards, right? Like it would take a while to do that. But it only took me like a week to be able to ride a wave all the way into shore from all the way out to where they start, which is about like 50 yards. It only took me a week. And it is just like one of the most magical experiences ever, and it's like my favorite thing to do. I've already dislocated my shoulder twice now. I'm on the mend for my second time. The first time it was because I was surfing every single day, so I didn't balance out like how often I was surfing. And then the second time was that I surfed for 6 hours straight. So I was just out in the water and the waves kept coming, and it was just like it was such an amazing day. And my shoulder had felt fine, so I was just like, this is gonna be okay. Especially if I'd been surfing for 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, and like my shoulder was totally good. Only after like a week or two from it being dislocated in the first place. And like towards the end, I go really, really, really hard and fast to catch this wave that I needed to, you know, go fast before it caught me. Sometimes you'll be able to catch it, but this one, like, I really needed to go. And so I just go as hard as possible, and instantly my shoulder goes out, and I'm just in pain. It was weird because I like was coming up on this one dude, this older like Hawaiian guy, and I was just like in pain, like lying on my board, like just like obviously in pain, like groaning and like a little bit worried because the waves are coming in. Because when you dislocate your shoulder when you're surfing, if you're in the middle of where waves are coming, it's a little bit scary because if a wave crashes on you or if a wave's coming in, it's hard to get out of the way or position yourself so it doesn't crash on you. Because if the wave is coming in and it's a big wave and you're not in position, you can get hurt. And if you're really badly, and if your shoulder is dislocated, you can't move it and it crashes. Oh my god, I can imagine. Maybe it would pop it back in place and make you feel all right, but it's a little bit nerve wracking. And this dude was just like not like helping me at all, and I was like clearly in pain. And I was like floating to him. I was floating into him because I couldn't move, and he's just like he wasn't even acting as if I didn't exist, but it was as if I didn't exist. If that makes sense. Like he was looking at me and like not saying anything. I don't know if he spoke English or not, but even if he couldn't speak at all, it was just weird. It was just really bizarre. And then when I was surfing into shore, this like me and Naide are waving to this lifeguard, and he's not coming. And Aria, she's luckily on the side of the highway. She has to like go get the lifeguard and say go help them because we're like waving and like we're making no progress because I'm on a big or semi big foam board, and nowadays this little dude on a hardboard trying to like bring me along, and I'm trying to paddle, but I've been surfing for 6 hours, and so like I'm pretty tired, and my non-dominant hand and arm is just like because I can't use my right hand or my right arm and shoulder because it's like toast. So that was so weird. It was very bizarre. Um, but yeah, and so that balance of um, doing something and then not doing it. I'm gonna tie this in to the topic of the day, which is the void, which I'll relate to another experience here in a second. The other sharings that I wanted to bring up, and this is stuff that like happened in the past and catching up on that I want to, have out here and able to like look at what I did and remember it because there's so much that has happened in my past at least that I would love to just go back and check out. Like if I do this every day, I can check what I was doing if I had done it every day. I could check what I was doing 1 year ago today. That's a really cool thing for me. Or like 6 months ago. Exactly. If you have an exact day-to-day thing on what you're doing, you can like go check. And then you can be reminded, when you hear like one story, like, oh yeah, I remember what happened here and there, and then you become aware of more memories, and that can trigger even more and da 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 da. And so as we forget, and we would like to remember, this just provides that database. Another cool thing that I did was cliff jumping on what's called South Point here on Big Island, and it's South Point. It's called South Point for a reason. It is the most southern point on the island, and it's it's looking off into the Pacific, and there's nothing. There's like you can't see anything but ocean, and you're on this cliff, like a story high. You look down, and the water is so clear and wide that you can basically see anything and everything. And at first, you can't tell what you're looking at when you're here, but when you really start to look and your eyes adjust, you see like hundreds of thousands of fish, like silver fish, swimming in unison, like right where you would be jumping. Now, when I was there, fishermen were fishing here and like, oh, there's a jumping spot to the left, and that's where I ended up going, and that was awesome. But there's so much fish. It was so cool, and the place where you jump off into the water, well, there's two places. One, you can go into this like circle where like you're up above, like on the cliff, so to speak, and before you even get to the edge of the cliff, there's like a hole in the ground where you can jump into the water. You have to be careful because it's a little bit rocky on the edges all the way down. But once you're there, it then connects to the ocean. There's an overhang, so you have to time it so when the tide rises, you're not underneath that bridge, so you don't get smashed when it raises. So you have to time it so when the tide lowers and you can see past this overhang and out into the ocean, you then go and get to the ocean, and then you can climb a ladder or something. And the place that I jumped, I didn't do that. The place that I jumped was it was cool. There's lots of people like with tents and stuff camped out there, and it's a really cool vibe. It's like you take a long trip to get to this southern point though. And it's pretty barren. It's pretty rocky. It's not like lush or anything. It's very I don't like that part, but the whole vibe is pretty cool. The place that I jumped off of is similar to a pump house in Ithaca in 6 Mile Creek, where like in terms of height. And what you do is you jump out, and then again you have to wait for the tide to rise, so you're not stepping on sea urchins and can land on this one spot, so you can climb rocks to finally get to the point where you can then get back up. So it's really cool. And Nayade, he jumped very, very quickly for his age. He's like a small dude. And I remember in Ithaca, there's like all sorts of one of the best cliff jumping places ever. Like Ithaca's cooler than the Hawaii place, even though that was really cool. And so there's different layers in Ithaca, and as you see people jumping off from here and there, you build your confidence. With this one, there's really just like one small one, and then the pump house one, which is pretty high. And actually, now that I think about it, the pump house is probably higher, but still, he was able to do it like very quickly, which was really funny, and awesome. And yeah, so that was really cool. Let me check my text real quick. Cool. The other topic I want to talk about is relationships. So I wanted or feel like I've wanted a relationship for a long time, and part of me knows it's part of that social conditioning, right? Where like everywhere you look, like sexual attraction to and sexual desires is just like everything's not everything, but most stuff is sexualized. And that's kind of like the thing to do. um, and is just like glorified, and as well as relationships, like it's like weird not to have a relationship in some form of context. And for me, I know it's a mix of that mixed in with just like natural desire, of course. And I've never had a relationship, and so like when I go through these cycles of really wanting a relationship, and then just like being tired of wanting a relationship. And recently, I got so many like universal signs that I would be entering into a relationship when I moved back to this big house that I'm living at. And that hasn't happened yet. However, I met this one girl at this like natural food store place who basically almost has her my signature like tattooed on her body. It's a Blink-182 tattoo, but it's the X with the smiley face, and that's my smiley face. And her name is Nikki with 2 Ks. And so for me, like I didn't feel like too attracted, but the synchronicity there um, was very, very strong. And so usually when I follow synchronicity, awesomeness, happens. And whether or not I'll be in a relationship with this chick or not, I don't think is important. But like following the signs to reach out to something that happens like that is important. So if you notice like someone, it doesn't have to be like romantic relationships, just like or anything like that. To follow that, follow the girl with the white rabbit tattoo, um, because it leads to um, really magical experience from my personal experience. And so I've tried to contact her one time, wasn't successful, but will try again this weekend. And who knows? I'll probably be updating you on what happens. She might be the one who connects me to the person who I might be in a relationship, or it might be completely unrelated at all. But I'm not in a relationship, and I would like to be in one. Or maybe not, because I've never been in one, so I don't know. I know a lot of time would go into it, but if it's like an amazing relationship, I know I would want to put like time into it, so to speak. And for me, it would probably be one of like, as with everyone, it would be, lots of growth would be involved, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be in a relationship with anyone other than someone quite aware or complementary to my energy and awareness in a way where it would just be a perfect fit. I mean, I kind of view life like anything is pretty perfect. So if you're in a relationship with someone, that's perfect, right? Um, but going back to my point, I think that the relationship that I'd be in would be so conducive to growth and like I, for one, would want to focus on like certain things that we do together to amplify our life in all areas. And if I mean the woman will probably be very spiritual or very aware and intelligent, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know at all. But I'm assuming it'll be like that. And speaking of relationships, I wonder if it'll be a like a similar energetic where we're like very, very similar in terms of our energy, but like how we are and who we are, or if it'll be more complementary. Like I'm introverted, I'm pretty balanced with extroversion, but let's just say I was very, very introverted, which I'm not, but let's just say I was. I mean, maybe I am. But for the sake of this example, the complementary piece or person would be someone who's very extroverted if I was introverted. Um, so I wonder if it would be either, matching where we'd both be introverted and we're just like super similar, super close to like soul dynamic, or if it'd be more on the complementary side, or I mean anything in between. Um, I know there's lots of, especially spiritual talk on twin flames and soulmates, and I have my own beliefs on that, but I don't think that's important to focus on because I may not even be in a relationship for another 10 years. Maybe I explore sexuality without like a committed relationship, or maybe it'll be relationships on and off. For me, it'll be just completely loving and make it as balanced as I can. But when I enter that field of experience, I'm very excited because it's so new for me. And I love novelty. I always I always change things up, like I was talking about the other day, where I like to, continuously just like change. And so maybe it's not that great that I would be in a relationship where someone's maybe looking for commitment. And I'm just like, oh, time for another, so to speak. Um, which I've had some intuitional synchronicities and wisdom and awareness on the fact that when I start to focus on my own stuff like I'm doing now, the relationship will come. And when I'm focused on this and committed on this, it'll kind of reflect into being able to be committed in a relationship. If I can't commit to posting a video every single day, even if it's for 5 minutes, and I commit to that, and I know it's aligned, if it's fulfilling, and I know it's aligned. If I can't do that, then what? And how would I be committed in a relationship? Like I said, I want a relationship to like really flourish and grow and blossom together, which would be just so incredible, very very powerful too. Okay, so the topic of today is the void, and I wanted to talk about the balance of giving yourself space and emptiness in all areas of life. And so for me, today was my first day intermittent fasting, for many reasons. One, it saves money. Two, I will at a cellular level upgrade. And it's something that I've been meaning to do for such a long time. But I don't know, it just wasn't the time to do it, and now it clearly is. Um, because we don't need to be eating all of the time. And I just like eating, so I was pretty much eating whenever I felt like it, and now I will too, but it'll just be like within a short period of time. And I'm not even like that hungry all the time. So like, why would I be eating? um, and like I'm not even overweight. And there's certain parts of my body that are like a little overweight, like my neck, a teeny tiny bit of chubby cheeks, and at my waist, it's like an inch out on each side. But I'm pretty skinny, and I'm active, and so I don't know where I was going with that. But so for intermittent fasting, giving your body that space, 16 or 18 hours, I think it was that was recommended to be, um, which is going to also make eating more pleasurable, and you can appreciate it more. And it takes less time out of your day. So it's for me, it's like a no-brainer. It's like it's good for you, and it gives you all of these other benefits. So why not do it? And there's different like ways to intermittent fast and benefits from it. And I'm not going to get into that point, but the point is the void. Like you're giving yourself a void. The same thing with meditation. Well, first of all, let's just talk about sleep. You have to sleep so that you can be energized and awake. Like sleep is very, very important, and it's so important that there's no one who doesn't sleep. It's physically you just have to sleep. At least currently now in this realm of existence that we're in evolution. So, and I know that you dream and you do stuff when you're sleeping, but your body restores itself when you're awake, especially in this time of age, and we have so much input coming in. Our minds are racing while we're awake all the time. So it's always running. It's running. So when you meditate, and there's different kind of meditations, but talk about silent meditation, when you become aware of what's happening and don't try to shut those thoughts out, you know, you're creating that void, you're creating that space for so many things, like the divine to come through, like real intuition and answers to come through. you quiet that your mind quiets finally, so it's not like constantly running and stress levels reducing. Like again, I'm not going to talk about all the benefits of meditation, but the principle of creating the void. Um, Same with timing and balancing. You know, when I was so this loops back into my surfing. I can't just surf for every single day and or for 6 hours in a day. You know, at some point I might be able to, but to balance out the doing and the non-doing is really, really important. And so that goes similarly with timing, with anything, and it's really balanced. But if you look at it from, you know, the doing and non-doing, right, the yin and yang, the not the yin and yang, but the void, the nothingness, the core, um, the 0 point, and you place importance on that, and then you intentionally create that or allow that to come up in your life. Everything that's on the other side of that, that's the doing aspect, the noise, it becomes so much more enjoyable, you know. um, so even like organization, like let's say you make a list of 1,000 things that you can do, it unless you have experience with it and can handle it, you're just gonna overwhelm yourself. But if you give yourself the space, and like let's say you have a to-do list and you have all of these things, you're not gonna get as much done as if you were just to have like a couple, because there's so much space for you to like look and choose and do something. So like for me, I'm using a platform, a website called Notion, and we created a priority list for me because that would like really, really help me like tackle tasks in the projects that we have. And so there's a column that's keep in mind, then it's to do, then it's in progress, then it's done, then it's archived. So basically guidelines to keep in mind, or like small reminders on the side, then stuff to do, then in progress, like things that, you know, are continuously going, and then the completion. And then when the completion has been seen by my boss, to put it in archive, and then I can delete it. Recently, because of like certain situations in my life where I've had to, I didn't have to. I offered help for moving, helping Aria move during a really busy week, which means I didn't get the work done, because I was working in a way, but I was just helping her, and I didn't have the time to do it. The to do was, first of all, it was huge in the beginning, like before I helped move. So already it was overwhelming, but that because I wasn't able to do stuff because I was helping, and new stuff is always coming up. I'm constantly doing stuff and not able to like finish the to do. And so when I sit down in a day, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to put this much time into this work and then the rest of the work won't get done. It's simple. It's just that's just how it is. I immediately go to, oh my God. And then like every small, every small task seems so big. So my last task for today that needs to get done outside of the meeting that I have in 14 minutes, is what is it? It's to create content for someone to distribute on our team across all Facebook and Instagram and emails. But the content that I'm creating is based off of another presenter's information. So I don't even have to like really create an idea. All I have to do is look up an author and then see what wisdom they have to share. Basically, take a quote or like reword the wisdom, then say, okay, this person This is coming from this person, give them credit. And by the way, this author is going to be in our event coming up. And we'd love to have you there, and then give them like a call to action or a solution to a problem. And I say it like that because now that I think about it, I don't think we're really presenting problems. I'll figure that out at a different time. So I just create this like small piece, right? A quote, an explanation, call to action, hello, goodbye. And then I send it, and then it's done. But initially, when I think about that, after doing all the work and like seeing on Notion still the huge to-do list of things that needs to get done, the things that are getting done and are in process, it just feels like it's so much, like the work will never get done, which it won't. The fact that work is going to finally finish is not true if you want to continuously do stuff, unless you want to like retire and do nothing, different. But the notion that it's so much work is getting tied to the smaller tasks that aren't a lot of work at all. And so even in to-do lists, right, the spacing is really important, and that's why cleaning your room, cleaning, anything, is really important, because you're eliminating unnecessary stuff, right? You're creating space so that the stuff that you do have becomes more vibrant and you become clear. And so like going back into the room factor, right? Like having a clean room, having an organized room, your environment is a reflection of your internal world. And so, and vice versa. And so you can take action externally and it will help you internally. And so a place like my office right now is not really that great. It's like an abandoned bed because we don't have bedroom because we don't have someone living here. And it's just not that nice. So like it would be important for me to make this place nice, and maybe even nice enough for like studio stuff. I don't know. It's a huge bed. Yeah, it doesn't look that great, but I can still make it look nicer. My room is much more clean and organized, and so in having a really clean and organized room, which is where you're going to be all of the time, you are way more like it helps you so much, especially on days where you really are feeling exhausted and you're just doing so much and your mind feels cluttered. To come into more clutter, even if you think you don't feel it and like you don't notice the uncleanliness, you actually do. It's all connected. And so making a conscious choice to clean that shit up will help you a lot. Like literally cleaning out your closets and the stuff, like it's not just like visuals, it's like the literal stuff, energetically speaking, that you have in your closets. If your closet's cluttered, you could probably relate that and connect it to a pattern in your own life, like in your mind. Like what are you hiding from yourself, or like what are you like not paying attention to? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you really look at the smaller stuff and apply it to different principles, such as the void, like I'm saying, and it being like a great benefit for you to utilize that and see it as very important in all areas of your life. I lost my train of thought. If you keep the if you keep the importance on the void and really like see that it's all connected to everything else that you're doing, of course. The there's so much um, on purpose out there. Like we're overwhelmed by design, and so if you can help yourself by creating space in areas of your life, especially like the big areas first, Just like pick one area of your life that needs space. And maybe it's your relationship. Maybe you're with someone who you love, and the relationship is wonderful, but maybe you're with them literally too much. In giving yourself like, and it doesn't even have to be, again, the intention behind it is what's key, that opens up the space and opportunities, like more space and opportunities actually, for things to blossom. That matters. It's the intention. And so in a day a week, or an hour a day, or 15 minutes on Monday, um, that you make sure that you're not in contact with whoever it is that you're with all the time, will help that relationship flourish, because you have time to recharge. And you can apply this metaphor to like everything. Like if you have a car running on, like you don't leave your car on when you park in the garage or you park at the shopping mall, unless you're ready, unless you have to go like immediately, right? For multiple reasons. You don't want the car to be hijacked. And metaphorically speaking, if you're always doing something and do not have time to give yourself space and therefore become aware of what's happening, you're way more susceptible to brainwashing and not taking control of your life. You just get in this zone, in this flow, and you'll be carried by the river. And sometimes the river may not go where you would like it to go, and it may not be aligned for you. And also, the battery's going to die, Um, and there'll always be jump starters in your life and new cars. Um, but and that in applying it to your life, like in all areas, might seem overwhelming, but something that I like to recommend at all times is just focusing on like the one thing that's most important in your life. So if it is a relationship, then just do that, you know, until it becomes automatic, just like anything. Um, but really see where you're overloaded. Until like in my life, I feel overloaded with work because I am working with Ria on the as being her assistant in transition, while also co-hosting. Oh, I have heartburn. I haven't had heartburn in a long time. While also um, co-hosting this event that's coming up, while also creating my own stuff like I am here, while also helping people around this house, which I haven't been. I haven't been doing that, and that's very important to me. And so here's an example of my mind. I'm looking at all of these things. I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed, and then so I end up doing the only things that like need to get done, right? And the needing to get done is the work with the RIA, because it's day by day. This needs to get done. It's in flow. And now I finally added it into my own thing that these broadcasts need to get done. And I'm very glad for that. But for me right now, then it would be to create some space where I'm not doing stuff, where I can just like take a look back. And that I haven't done. Um, I mean, I can feel the pressure, so I'm gonna turn off the car in this area of my life somehow, and that can look like making sure on and every day that by this time I don't do anything, that I just relax and I don't have any plans, or on this day, I make time for this rather than that. Instead of just like going day by day, where it's just like, okay, now what do I have to do? Because in that flow, I'm just like, why am I always like so tired when I talk here? Maybe it's because I'm releasing a lot of stuff. I think that's usually what happens when I talk a lot. I just like I yawn. I'm just like, okay, I'm like getting bored of myself in a way. Um, ding 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 ding. So yeah, so for me, it's pretty much giving myself that time and space to just relax, which has been a challenge for everyone who I am with, which is a great opportunity for me to, step into being able to create space for myself, even when everyone around me can't. Um, and I talk a lot about how environment is so key to, I mean, a lot depending on like what you want in life. And so, yeah, um, I'm out of time. I have a meeting in a minute. But yeah, so the void is good. Take care of your void, create voids in your life, and just watch what happens. And doesn't have to be a lot. It can be like 5 minutes in something that doesn't have that 5 minutes. The way to zero in on what needs the breaks is when you look at something that doesn't have a break for a long time or hasn't had a break in a long time. And you don't have to interrupt the flow of important things that needs to get done. You add to the flow and make it more flowy for you by consciously creating those breaks instead of it just being like, okay, I'm exhausted, I need to take a nap. Um, Schedule it. Or be conscious that when you get to a certain point, then you'll take the break. Tap into your own intuition, do what's right for you, and you will be fine.